Good morning. For me, this is early, but I had to get this tractor delivered. So this is not a how-to video, but more of a informative video on a Kawasaki engine, 17 horsepower on a John Deere. So let me turn it around and tell you the information on this, okay? So this is a John Deere 304 with a 17 horsepower Kawasaki engine. Okay. John Deere 304. Here are the numbers for the engine. There we go. 17 horsepower. So, this engine was brought to me by a friend of mine. It was not running well. It would idle fine, and it would rev up fine to high RPMs. But the minute you engaged the tractor, it would start bogging down like it was running super rich. So my thoughts at first for this kind of running condition would be possibly water in the fuel system, or the jets in the carburetor might have been plugged, or water in the bowl of the carburetor. So here's your carburetor here. So that was the running issue. So something like that, I usually go through and the carb, because most of the time it's the carburetor because of this E10 gas that we use. I did not know if the owner had stabilized the fuel or not. But the one thing that stood out is it ran fine at idle, but every time you engaged it, it would run rough. I removed a gallon of gas from the tank. I was looking for any water separation from the fuel as a test. I removed a gallon there plus another gallon in a fuel tank. But it's the first part of gas I want out of the tank, because water is heavier than gas and it would sit on the bottom for separation. So the next thing is I disassembled the carb, pulled the jets out. The jets were fine. They weren't really plugged up that bad at all. Not enough to make it run awful. I also checked the spark plugs. They were a little on the oily side. They weren't a clean burn like it normally would be, like a gray tip on the spark plugs. And since the gas was fine, I checked the oil. Oil was a little on the dark side, so we changed the oil out. The owner always ran Mobil 1 full synthetic 10W30. So we got new oil in it. Took the tractor out again. Again, it runs fine at idle and high idle, but the minute you engage the mower deck, it would run rough as heck, and it would start smoking, just like it was getting too much gas or oil was being injected into the engine, whatever. But it just ran rough, and a lot of smoke came out of the exhaust. So I had done some research, going back through some forums, and some people were mentioning that they were having the exact same problems with this Kawasaki motor. Now the problems were between horsepower 17 up to a horsepower of 27. And the forums I looked at, I went back to 2009 on these forums. This tractor is, I think, a 2010, 2011, somewhere around there. The owner was telling me. On the forums, they were telling me about the coils on the tractor, that the coils are failing for some reason. So I thought, well, why not try it out, see what happens. So I bought 2 new coils, 2 new spark plugs. Here are my new coils. And to replace them, I just didn't stick them in there. You have to use a feeler gauge in here because these coils slide back and forth. So you have the right spacing between the magnet on your flywheel and the coil. What did I use for spacing? Well, I would just use your feeler and then set the spacing out. But the 3 that I used was 0.019, 0.020, 0.022. In millimeters, that's 0.559, 0.508, 0.483. Okay. Wait a minute, there's another one in there. Sorry, I missed one. Bear with me here. I try to do this. And the 4th one is 0.024 at 610 millimeter, 0.610 millimeter. So it was 4 they used for spacing. New spark plugs. I put dielectric grease on all my electrical connections. So on here and on the tip of the spark plug. And I took the tractor back out and it ran perfect when we turned on the mower deck. So even though the symptoms for this was running, rough running, it wasn't anything to do with fuel or carburation. It was the coils. You know, the red flag for me was every time I turn on the mower deck, this would run rough. And why would it do that? Well, I do know that on this tractor for the mower deck, it's electrical. So that was kind of a red flag for me. For it was an electrical problem, but the question is, what was the electrical problem? What was creating this? And I think that's it. So I just wanted to put that out there. If you have a Kawasaki motor in your garden tractor, because I know they use this in quite a few garden tractors, different brands, that if it runs smooth at idle to high RPMs without the mower deck being engaged, but suddenly runs like it's overloaded, like the fuel's running too rich or something like that once the mower deck's engaged, I would probably check the coils. Now, I did not test the coils. I thought I will just replace them, and I'll replace both of them versus checking one to see if it's one of the coils. The coils were $49 each, $48 each. So it's short change on that. The spark plugs, I think, were like $5 each. I switched them from Champion to NGKs. And I think that's really it. So I just want to put that out there for anyone who's having running issues and is not able to fix it. All right, again, that's a 17 horsepower Kawasaki engine on a John Deere 304. Yep, 304. And 17 horsepower. But the forums I was reading going back 10 years was for 17 horsepower up to 27 horsepower. We're having issues with the coils. All right. I guess it's time to put this thing back together and deliver it. So this is Big Guy Robert, Big Guy DIY, signing off. And if this information helped you out at all with your tractor, give me a thumbs up. All right? Have a great day.